Right, hello everybody. Welcome to the Trend Signal podcast. In this session, we're going to be discussing the trading week ahead and the main events and things to be looking out for Forex and stock market traders. So for the week starting the 20th of July, let's have a look at the main events. And today, my name is Adrian and I'm joined with my colleague and chief analyst, Jerry Miller, to go through the calendar of events. So Jerry, are you there? Can you hear me?
I am here, all ready to go, Adrian.
Fantastic. So why don't we kick us off with, what don't we know yet? What's going to be happening in this week ahead?
Well, it is a quiet week for scheduled data releases. You get these during the month, and this is one particular one. So no major events really. More second quarter earnings. Remember that started last week with the banks and a few others, and we discussed whether the bubble might burst if these results don't come up quite to expectations, but that clearly wasn't the case. Stocks have remained quite steady. We've got some important data at the end of the week, but what you're looking at here is a calendar with normally the high impact events will number sort of a dozen or 15, and that's what we'll focus on. But there's only sort of 5 of them this week, and we're really looking at the less medium impact numbers and even some of the low impact numbers sometimes, but it's just the way of it. It's just a lighter calendar week, but a few other sort of macro events taking place as well that aren't listed on here as well, Adrian.
Yeah, well, obviously today there's still talks going on in the Eurozone, and they've been talking about a potential deal for this rescue fund, which seems to have boosted the stock markets at least anyway so far today. But you guys can, if you're listening to this, you can tune into the other podcast. We've already done that to death probably. But what else is happening today? We've got Mike Pompeo.
This is a visit that was planned a while ago. He's visiting the UK for talks about, partly about the US-UK trade deal, discussions about that. They're talking about the response to the coronavirus epidemic, and also Hong Kong and the Chinese are probably high on the agenda as well, because I noticed that the Foreign Secretary has suspended extradition treaty with Hong Kong, and the reason being is that those Hong Kong Chinese that have left Hong Kong to reside in Britain because they are fearful of Chinese influence or attempts to snatch people from Hong Kong, they then don't want to be extradited from the UK to Hong Kong and then from Hong Kong into the so-called judicial system in China, which is not the best place to be, but that sort of thing. So so that's quite sort of high on the agenda. So Hong Kong is sort of, and it's all battening down the hatches again in Hong Kong with quite a resurgence in the coronavirus as well. So tough times out in Hong Kong. But other than that, there's not a lot else for the first day today this week. In fact, there's little out tomorrow as well. We've got the one of the Reserve Bank of Australia's governors speaking low. That'll affect the Aussie dollar, but we hopefully will be fast asleep. And we will see the impact of that on Tuesday morning. Other than that, we have to wait until Wednesday, really, for the first sort of interest in the markets. And we've talked about the second quarter earnings season, Adrian. This is, it normally starts sort of within 4 to 5 weeks of the month, of the quarter end, I should say. So we've started with a trickle last week, and there's more this week. And Tesla's coming out this week, and I just find it extraordinary when I look at the stats about Tesla. This is a company, just to remind you, it's a car company. It's an electric car company based out in California. It's got manufacturing bases and battery manufacturing bases to be set up here in the UK in Bristol, apparently. It is an astonishing company that is now worth 278 billion at Friday night's close. That's its market capitalization. It is worth 1.5 times the size of Toyota, previously the largest car company in the world. What's interesting about Tesla's share prices is it's gone up by 400% since March. I mean, astonishing.
So I think what's also interesting is that I think has it only had 4 profitable quarters in its existence as well?
No. Well, you will be right
We'll
by
find
Wednesday.
out. We'll find out. Oh, this could be the fourth.
This could, it probably will be the fourth, to be fair, Adrian. But what's interesting is because someone said, wow, it must be one of the most valuable companies on the S&P 500. I said, no, it's not in the S&P 500. Why not? Because surely it's, by market cap, it's got to be one of the top 10 companies in the US. And it definitely is. But to get into the S&P 500, you've got to have had, as you've just mentioned, 4 quarters of profits.
Yeah.
Tesla hasn't, which is extraordinary.
It makes it interesting though, because a lot of funds, tracker funds, they'll invest in companies according to the position in the S&P 500, for example. So they might have to track the S&P 500, which means, of course, they have to have weightings in these stocks. So a lot of these funds, if it does then get in, will then have to buy that stock in order to have their weighting in it. So it make you wonder if we're going to see a bit of a boost in price, but maybe they're already in it. Who knows?
I would have thought that's got to have been discounted. But yeah, it's an interesting point. But I mean, the stock, I remember when it was trading sort of sub $400, and a lot of the hedge funds were targeting it, and it was quite a short, one of the most heavily shorted stocks going, and it's now almost every single hedge fund that has tried to short this stock has had its fingers and its arms and its torso burnt. I mean, it's been the most painful thing going. It's an amazing mission of faith in a business, and even Elon Musk, who set the company up, I mean, he's still a reasonable large stockholder in it. He just said, his comment was, wow. Wow. As his wealth has grown to probably close to 50 billion now, all told. But it's
well, he had a sort of a Ratner-esque moment, didn't he, a couple of months ago, where he sort of commented that the share price was too high, and then it took a big hit as soon as he said it.
This is so overvalued. But maybe he's just thinking, I need to buy another $10 million worth.
Exactly.
I know what. I don't think he'd be so foolish to do that, of course. But you can accidentally or naively say things like that. But no, this is an extraordinary company, and it'll be fascinating to see what happens on Wednesday, because this stock is not a penny stock. I've just said it's worth $278 billion. But I remember not this Friday, the previous Friday, but the Friday before that, the stock price literally rallied 15%, 15%, and then in couple of hours before the close, it fell 15%, not 1.5%, not 0.5%, 15%. It's just an extraordinary company, and I would love to push the fast forward button and find out how much it's really worth in the years to come. There's a lot of positivity built up in that share price. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so Jerry, just quickly then, moving on to Thursday. We've got bank holiday over in Japan, although I don't expect that to make too much of an impact on the markets, really. But otherwise,
but the markets are shut there.
Yeah, but otherwise, a few bits, some manufacturing PMI, service PMI from the Eurozone, French, German, and the Eurozone generally as well, Jerry.
Yeah, well, before that, actually on Wednesday, we forgot to mention.
I'm looking at Friday. What am I doing?
Yeah, we got the crude oil inventories on Wednesday, but then on Thursday, that bank holiday you just referred to in Japan, markets will be shut. And remember, the Japanese market is quite a driver in the Far East. It's not the main driver anymore. That's more down to China, but we still tend to look at Japan, but we won't be Thursday, Friday. We've also got Jonathan Haskell from the Monetary Policy Committee, the rate setting committee for the Bank of England. He's giving some a speech on the economic effects of COVID-19, which actually I think would be quite interesting. So I'd like to keep abreast of all of that, but that's Thursday. Maybe sterling might be a little bit sensitive to that, gilts in the FTSE. Weekly unemployment claims, remember, that's something that we've not used to talk about up until the pandemic and the collapse in employment, but still stubbornly high. Remember, these are new claimants for benefits. That does not mean that the unemployment rate's going up. A lot of the previous claimants have now gone back to work, but it's interesting that there's a forecast of another 1.28 million claimants in the past week, coming down as that graph shows, but just it's not coming
flattish, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, it is. It is, and
month and 6 weeks.
You might wonder what will happen if the likes of Texas, a very populous state, and Florida all follow California in locking down again. Things might start to slow up even more. But anyway, that's that. Friday is the big day of the week, though. That's the one that will provide the most excitement. A measure of the manufacturing and service sector in the Eurozone and in the UK. On top of that, we've also got retail sales in the UK, which is showing another interesting jump. 8% is the consensus forecast. Remember, that's following on from 12% last month. So this is what happens when you ease the lockdown and people start spending again. I know my wife is spending again, that's for sure. So she'll probably make up for 1% of that. But not in public.
Good to see some above 50 numbers in here, because that shows.
Yeah, that's right. That's right, Agent. Anything above 50 means that particular sector is expanding, whether it be manufacturing or services. But just quickly looking at the Eurozone, what they do on this calendar, they're telling us what the specific French and German ones are. Why the French and German ones? Because they're the largest components of the Eurozone, so they probably have a greater effect on the overall number. But the overall number, the flash Euro manufacturing PMI data, 49.6. I think, well, that's not quite, is it? It's not quite expansion. Yeah. So it's still below that magical 50 number. The PMI number, that's rebounding further. So that's up at the forecast for 51. That's a jump from 48.3. Yeah, the PMI number, the services sector improving at a faster rate than the manufacturing sector is, that's for sure. At least that's the forecast. And then just below that, Adrian, you've got the two forecasts for our manufacturing and PMI and services sector. Wow, 52 manufacturing. Well, that's not just expanding, that is definitely expanding. And also nice to see, in common with the Eurozone, the service sector here in the UK jumping from 47.1, if the number's correct, 51.1. Just the numbers have disappointed a little bit in the UK. Certainly the GDP data, I think analysts got overexcited with the easing of the lockdown in May, but actually it was only for just a little bit of it, and I think that's why it had so little effect. But it's starting to take hold. And then the final one of the day, in the US, we've also got the manufacturing PMI data, same as Europe, Eurozone, same as the UK, a jump from 49.8 into expansionary mode, as you said, mostly in the 50s. Yeah. Come on.
Yeah, let's go. So, and of course, better than expected should be positive for that particular currency. So,
correct.
So we'll just have to see what the data comes out as. So, better than expected, positive for the economy, for that currency. Worse than expected, you should see that particular currency fall.
And for the stock market as well. So, if you see a positive Eurozone number, definitely positive for European stocks. Probably help global stocks as well. Really, there's quite an effect from Europe as well, and vice versa. A poor number could affect stocks globally as well.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Jerry. Well, that's pretty much it then for this week's Week Ahead podcast. Tune in again next time for more next Monday, and our other podcasts as well, where we talk about what's been happening for the week and look at some charts, look at other opportunities as well. And in fact, if you'd like to look at some charts, you can tune in to one of our live events. We are running some live events this week where we teach one of our favorite trading strategies. It's called the Sniper Strategy, and you can log in and learn 3 simple rules for identifying high probability turning points in the market. So if you'd like to learn those rules and help you to become a better trader, please register for one of our events by going to bit.ly, so bit.ly/learnts, and we'll look forward to seeing you online soon. But otherwise, goodbye for now, and we'll see you next Monday.